Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today's video, I would like to present a research talking about students' motivation in reading test responses WASHBACK effect on learning in higher educations. Thank you very much for Universitas Muhammadiyah Tasikmalaya who gave us opportunity involving in the second Paris Van Java International Seminar on Computer Science, Engineering and Technology. This research written by some of the researchers Hasanudin Hasanudin, Muhaiminah, Akib, Erpin, Ahmad, Wael, and Rezkiah Hartanti. And we are from Faculty of Teacher Training and Education's English Education Department, Universitas Muhammadiyah Sorong, or usually called Sorong. There are some topics to be covered in this presentations: introductions, the gap of the research, literature review, methodology, result and discussions, and the last is conclusion. Coming to the introduction, the prominence of English examinations has been tested in schools or higher school to measure and evaluate students' progress. The data used by some governments in Indonesia to rate the quality and upgrade their educational system. Unfortunately, the test says by some expert as an evil because it takes feelings of anxiety and self-doubt. One of the experts, Brown 2003. The feelings usually called WASHBACK. So WASHBACK is the effect of testing in teaching and learning. The effect, it could be positive if meet students' needs or based on achievement and objective. If negative, if the test lead to the students' anxiety because feel pressure and students fear of the poor of the result. Having students' motivation on WASHBACK is one of the purposes of language tests because it affects the long term of students' learning. When the students has motivations, they can make an impact of their performance will be better in the second language, and also teachers, when they have confidence to sustain and develop their teaching strategies. One of these skills that usually tested in university level is reading. So as we know that reading is a critical skill in English language. So the challenge for those students who just pass off their senior high school and then enter to their university, they have to face entrance tests and or international language tests, which commonly has text. So it can be lead to the uh, effect, either positive or negative on their learning. So in this research, the researchers who would like to find out the effect of the reading test and the influences on their motivation. Some of the gap of the research here, the first one, students' perceptions. Other language skills to be tested, which is reading test here. And the researcher also took suggestion from the previous research. Some literature review involving in this research. The first one is WASHBACK, as I told you before, that WASHBACK is influence of testing on teaching and learning. Or another terms of WASHBACK known as backwash. So the study test will be test 15 hypotheses created by Alderson and Wael 1993 in this research. Motivation of EFL learners. Yeah, you know, motivation is one of the vital things to enhance student skill in English language because many psychologists believe that motivation plays an essential part in students' engagement and achievement in learning. To define students' motivation in this study, some aspects are used in the process of learning. Content, the process of motivation, and the teacher and students' attitude. And also involved in this research, a reading examination or reading test. According to Leipzig, in the process of reading, there are processes involving such as word recognition, comprehension, fluency, and motivation. So those process can be lead. Some experts believe that can be lead to the effect either positive or negative. The methodology. The researchers use mixed method here as a case study and survey as the designs. For the case study, they used the observation instrument was used to monitor the classroom, adopted by Spada and Maria 1995, and also field notes and recorder also used to note the instruction in classroom. And also an interview as supported data, and the participant involving here is for students and a lecturer to find out the effect of reading test on learning. And for the survey was conducted among 120 students to find three aspects of motivation. Here are the results and the discussions. First, the result, the reveals of evidence of WASHBACK on students' learning. So in this evidence, there are two that the researchers would like to present. The first category, lectures, content, and methodology, include 5 aspects here. The first one, participant organizations. For the participant and organizations, it reveals the involvement of the lecturer, like giving instruction, organizing, and explain the topic. The lecturer just took 37% of the total class time, while students took 44% in total of participations. And for the content, it reveals the extent of procedure found almost a half of total class time spent to manage the content. It took 44%. And the activities that discuss language issues covering about 40%. This is including functions, sociolinguistic, and vocabulary. And the third aspect is about content control. It reveals the content control was taken over mostly between the lecturer, text, and students at the point 66% of the total class time. The student decided the content of the class at the point 19%. For students' modality, here, listening and the combination with other modalities was the most common skills used in all classes. And for the material use, the materials that represented for all activities were in English, but for the instruction and activity or interactions happened by explaining in both classes were mixing language between Bahasa Indonesia and English. From all of the aspects, it reveals, it can be concluded, the first finding reveal lecturer render enough time to students in classroom activities. Likewise, students had more opportunities to involve the lesson, whether individual or group. Second one, the most common category of classroom content, communicative acts is the discussion on the topic and procedural to the activity of reading. Third, the material used indicate the range of materials is often used, such as a passage or a paper from students' mate. This finding is in line with Messick's theory that he states that one of the beneficial WASHBACK connects to authentic materials. The findings also verifies Alderson and Wall's theory that a text will influence attitude to the content and methodology of learning. Still, the evidence of WASHBACK on students' learning, and for this part, it will be revealed by using questionnaire. The first category, students' attitude in classroom practices to the subject. It reveals the subject meets students' needs, and the achievement test was based on the objective. This result confirmed the finding of other study, Beckman and Palmer, Hughes, and however, most of the students took lecturers' high-stakes testing made them difficult in preparation for the test. It's same with the study conducted by Afrianto, Sukidiadi, Mardiani, Hughes, Heshman Reed, and Fairman. And for this category, confirm Alderson and Wall's assumptions. A test will influence attitudes to the course of learning. For the second category of the questionnaire, reveal students' preparation for the exam. There are three aspects that will be that has been revealed: strategy, content, and activities. For the strategy, the questionnaire related to the students' preparation for examinations show more positive than negative washback on them. The student strategy surveys that the vast majority of students prefer more practice in reading text while frequently using effective ways that help increase reading skill and pursue lecturer courses. And this strategy confirm Alderson and Wall hypothesis. A test will influence how learners learn. And the second aspect of students' preparation for the exams, I find that the resources that students use beside the lecturers and her textbooks was a frequent activity that they have done because students prefer more practice into the test questions, and it also was verified that the lecturer never trained the student for the test. So again, this led to the positive than negative, but the process of student was the primary purpose. This yield different from the other WASHBACK studies. Yeah, from Afrianto, Aldesan and Wall, Aprianto, Hayes and Reed, Hughes, Supiadi, and Mardiani. And this content aspect also confirm Alderson and Wall's assumptions. A test will influence what learners learn. And the last for the students' preparation for the exam, which is the activities during the reading class and during the students' leisure time. It revealed positive. Yeah, most of the data findings show positive. The exam involves learning activity in either the classroom or out of the school was the activity which prominent to enhance their English competence, particularly to this subject. They're frequently enough to hit the highest number of percentage. The desirable of learners in the finding is in line with Green 2013. And these findings also verify Alderson and Wall's hypothesis. A test will influence the degree and depth of learning. And I'm going to reveal for the next one the evidence of washback on motivations to find out there is an effect of washback on their students' motivation. There are three main aspects here. Motivation regarding course content is the first. It revealed that the perception scale that most of the students agreed on the impact lecturers' materials positively influences students' willingness to involve in the classroom activities, cognitive skills, feel challenge, and curiosity. Similarly, James and Williams suggested that teachers should take the concept that makes students feel connected, challenged, aware, and interested. So, for this category, it leads to positive. I mean, for the students' motivation, it leads to positive motivation. I mean, the washback on students' motivation. And for the second, motivation regarding lecturers' methodology, the scale showed that the teaching method is acceptable. The course was organized well by the lecturer to reach the purpose of the subject. And the third category, motivation regarding lecturer and students' attitude, the increase of students' confidence gives noticeably positive on the subject, including the trustworthiness of the lecturer's ability and no pressure in the learning process. This finding is similar by Pand study, and also this evidence lead to an assumption which was a test will influence motivation and learning. For the conclusions, the first, students' perception of the subject is more positive rather than negative views. Most students surveyed perceive that the topics meets their needs and the test is appropriate to measure their achievement goals. The second one, the issue of high-stakes testing remains a negative washback on their preparation potentially. And the third one, the study substantiates seven assumptions from Alderson and Wall. It notes that the washback effect at the level of attitude, content, and methodology. And the last conclusion, the process of language learning in this subject has a positive impact on their motivation. This is also add a new assumption that a test will influence motivation in learning. I think it's enough for the presentations. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.